On the previous notes, we were talking about plugging numbers in. Now, generally with numbers, you can simplify from the inside out. However, if you're just talking about letters like X or G of X, we can't really simplify from the inside out. Instead, I'm going to think of f of G of X by thinking of f as a template for plugging things in. Just like I think of f of 4 is 3 times 4 plus 2. F of 7 is 3 times 7 plus 2. I'm going to think of f of G by thinking of f of thing and thinking about what that means. What does f of thing mean? It means 3 times whatever it is, and then plus 2. Don't be afraid of blank parentheses. So what I like to do is call this a template. Whichever letter is on the left, we set up that template with blank spaces for all x's. So I'm going to write this down. Okay, so f of thing is 3 thing plus 2, so f of g must be stuff whatever g is. So it's 3, what's g? Negative 2x's plus 2. Now notice you can't simplify from the inside out because we can't simplify negative 2x. So instead we have to simplify from the outside in. We have negative 6x plus 2. And that's about as far as we can go. G of f is the same thing, but setting up a template for G. Now, G of thing is negative 2 thing, and that's it, right? G of x is negative 2x. G of f of x is going to take n. I will, in the next line, I'll stuff in what f of x is instead. G has the template this time. F goes inside. So negative 2, what is f of x? 3x plus 2. Is this the same thing? Not quite. If you distribute the negative 2, it turns out to be negative 6x minus 4 instead. Not quite the same thing. F of g and g of f don't turn out to be equal most of the time. Okay, for the next one, f of g turns out to be much more complicated. So for f of g, and again, I want you to get used to both notations. It's f of g by putting a circle or by putting parentheses. So let's just note to ourselves that it's pronounced f of g. Okay, so what we have is f is the template. I'll just write it down as a template. F of thing is thing squared plus 5 thing. So when you do it, you should be doing it in this order. I often fill in the parentheses afterwards and you don't see the blanks, but you should learn to do it with blank parentheses and then fill things in. So I'll draw it with blank parentheses again, and then I'll fill it in with what G is. Now to simplify this, be careful. When we simplify 3x plus 2 squared, let me do this in several steps. I'll just write 3x plus 2 times itself. You can't distribute the squaring. Foil properly. I have a little note in blue. Okay, so write it down twice in order to square, and then start foiling it out. Let's see. 9x squared is the front. Outer is 3x times 2, so 6x, and then another 6x. Then last is 4. Then we combine like terms. So we have a grand total of 9x squared plus, let's see, 12 and 15 is 27 x's. And then 4 and 10 is 14. For g of f, it's much easier. G of thing is 3 thing plus 2. So g of, and again, I'll write it twice. You don't need to write it twice, but I'll write it a second time just so you can see the process. I'm going to stuff f in.
Okay, this is bothering me. I did it when too tired to resist. I'm going to stop the thing for a minute, and it should be 3 there. 3, so 3 and 15. Oops, pretend. Okay, back to the regularly scheduled program.
And then just simplify. This time there's no foiling, because it's only x that's getting squared, and none of the terms combine, so that's basically done now. For this one, again, let's remind ourselves, for numbers, simplify from the inside out. And for variables, we use blank parentheses from the left function, the outside function. Because we can't simplify from the inside out. That was a terrible word. Hold on, my handwriting is getting worse. We use blank parentheses for the left-hand function. Okay, so let's just try some of these. F of g of 2, we find g of 2 first, the inside out. Uh, 4 minus 6 is negative 2, and then we take that answer and stuff it into F. Do that with highlighters so it's a little easier to tell that it's a direction. So negative 2, stuff it into F. Okay, so F of negative 2 negative 4 plus 5 is 1. So my final answer is f of g of 2 is the number 1. It's a number because we're plugging a number in. G of f of 2, we find f of 2 first. However, I will note, do the inside function first. But it's the inside number. Okay, so we're taking f of 2 and turning it into 9, and then we plug that into g. So g of 9. What's g? Thing squared minus 3 thing, so 9 squared minus 3 times 9. Stuff into calculator if you must. 81 minus 27 is 54. Got it. Next, remember if you have x's, you need blank parentheses. So we're going to take the template for f on this one. What is f of thing? 2 thing plus 5. And again, I'll write it down twice, you don't need to. F of g means take the template for f and stuff G in. See if there's any simplifying. Yeah, just a little bit. And that's it for f of G. G of F, again, we use the template for G, blank parentheses for G. I make the parentheses have some space because I'm stuffing something complicated like F into it. G of thing is thing squared minus 3 thing. Okay, and so let me copy that down again. You don't have to, but I want to show you the process for those of you who aren't listening while you write things down. We're sticking F inside. Again, foil properly. Okay, let's distribute this one now that we've written it down twice. Don't forget the rest of it after you foiled. Okay, what's the grand total? 4x squared. 10x and 10x is 20x minus 6x is 14x. And then 25 minus 15 is 10. Okay, next. F of G of 2a plus 3 is, isn't that special? We need to know what G of 2a plus 3 is. So this is sort of a 3-layered onion. I have to figure out what G of thing is. And then simplify. We don't need the parentheses anymore, but it's 2a plus 5. So now I'm going to take and plug that into F. So I have F of thing is thing squared. So I'm going to have F of this 2a plus 5. I'll be foiling it out properly in a second, but let's plug 2a plus 5 in. And then we write it down twice like we're supposed to. So starting to multiply it out, we have 4a squared plus 10a and another 10a. If you've gotten used to seeing that when you have a perfect square, you always just double the middle. You can sort of skip that middle and just go directly to multiplying out the beginning, multiplying out the outer, and then doubling it because you're squaring, and then 25 is the end, and we're done.